Hey folks, I'm here with Frank DeBenedetto. He is with Kaseya. He is the Executive Vice President of Business Development. He is also was a long-term Producers Club member, had an MSP for how many years?
16 years.
16 years and sold it. Had a very good exit, very successful business, high profit. And yeah, so we're going to be here today talking about backup, which I know is not like a really exciting kind of thing, but there's money in backup. So yeah, anyway.
Not as sexy as cybersecurity and AI, but backup has been in the vendor hallway for as long as I've been in IT.
Yeah.
So it's something that we coined the term back to backup. We want to talk about it again because it's a tremendous opportunity, I think, for MSPs to monetize and help protect their customers.
For sure. So the thing I really want to talk to you about is when you had your MSP like about 3 years ago, you did some sort of a campaign and it added $5,000 net profit to your business. But it also was really good for your customers, right? So talk about what was going on, what you did.
Yeah, so it was really driven off of a cybersecurity incident in our industry, a supply chain attack, and about 30 MSPs were hit with ransomware. I was not one of them, but I spent a lot of time thinking at night, like, what if that happened? What would I do? How would I handle that incident with my customers? And what it really came down to was the ability to be able to restore the workstation rapidly. And because so much data has moved to the cloud, most of the time now people say, we don't back up the workstations, they're throwaways, it's easy to recover. But not if you have 3,000 endpoints, right? It would take a lot of time to restore all of that. And I don't think any MSP has the surge capacity to handle that. So what I did was I went to my customers and said, hey, listen, there's been an incident, it didn't affect us, but it could, and I think we should back up the workstations. And what I looked at it as an opportunity to, with 3,000 workstations, if I could make a couple dollars per workstation, if I could better protect my customer and make it easier for me to deliver my service as an MSP, that was a triple win. So I basically said, here's the cost. I did a little discounting and said, like, this will expire at the end of the month. Got maybe 2,000 endpoints right away. Everybody said, yep, let's do it.
What percentage of your customers was that?
So I had about 3,000 endpoints, so that's like 2/3-ish.
Okay, so 2/3 of your customers, just by saying that, boom, they buy it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I made a good relationship with the customers. We did regular business reviews, which I think was part of that, so it definitely helped. The ones that weren't sure, I said, no problem. I said, I'm just going to have you sign this declination of coverage, which basically says that I told you that we should probably do this, and you accept the risk now if something should happen. Of course, the goal is not to get them to sign that. So about half of those people looked at it and said, I'm not signing this, fine, let's just do it. So overnight, I was able to drive a whole bunch of income into my pocket by providing a better service and by helping those customers be better protected. So it was low-hanging fruit, easy to do, and a tactic that is still relevant today as it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah, and it surprises me that people don't back up their desktops and their laptops, and
right.
I mean, because I don't know about most people, but I think a lot of people keep stuff local, and if that were to go away, we always have. So I'm kind of surprised people don't do that. All right, so yeah, you're right. Backup has been taken a back step to cybersecurity. I'm like, okay, there's a joke in here somewhere. It's not very good. But anyway, so are there any additional trends in backup going on right now?
Yeah. So at Kaseya, with over 30,000 MSP customers, we have tons of data, and we analyze that data, and we see a shift, certainly, away from the traditional BCDR. That's the appliance on-prem. We back up that server and replicate it to the cloud. So we do see a shift towards serverless or domainless environments. So our SaaS protection product, which is the backup of OneDrive, SharePoint, and the Exchange mailboxes, has skyrocketed. So we know that as the appliance-based business starts to go away a little bit, we see a shift. Nonetheless, what's interesting is we actually see still an uptick in appliances being sold. So while there is a shift to the cloud, we know that people are still buying appliances, and when we talk to MSPs and ask why, it's because not everybody has the confidence yet in internet connectivity. So I'm in the Northeast in New Jersey. I kind of take it for granted. We have great internet, I suppose you do, in Nashville as well. But there are areas of the country that are not like that, and there's a risk to having it, be in just the cloud and not be local. So
Sure.
we still see that happening. We see a shift to Azure, so that's another thing. A lot of MSPs are moving the workloads over. And then the last one is a shift towards SaaS applications. So think about how many things we had 10 or 15 years ago that required a server in the office and some back-end infrastructure. And now it's a SaaS app, right? You just go to a website and you pull it up. So we're beginning to add backup for those third-party apps, things like Salesforce, QuickBooks Online. So
Yeah.
again, another opportunity for MSPs to monetize the backup for where that data has now moved to.
Yeah, and I think it's an important conversation to have with your customers, because I don't think people realize if they have all these SaaS applications and all the data that's in there, they kind of take for granted, well, that company's backing stuff up.
Right.
But they might not. And if there was, I would imagine it could be a ransom attack, or there could be something that happens, that data would go away. And I think that again, it's one of those things you have to bring up to your customers, because they're not thinking about it. And they're assuming you're taking care of stuff, and it's important. So, okay. Now there's a new program at Kaseya to help MSPs with backup. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So the newly minted Backup Concierge program, and we came up with the term concierge because we wanted to differentiate it from the other roles at Kaseya. If you stay at a nice hotel, the concierge desk is typically where you go for a higher level of service. So it's not where you go and the air conditioning is not working in the room. It's where you go if you want tickets to a great show or dinner or something like that. So what we decided to do is bring the spotlight back on backup. Every single MSP's customer backs up their data. It's the easiest thing to sell, usually the first thing they buy. Not everybody will buy things like EDR and MDR because some MSPs have trouble conveying that value, but you never have to convince them to back up their data. So what we've done is we actually took, right now, a small team of Datto legacy folks. These are individuals who've been with the company for over 10 years, have deep roots in backup, and we've now assigned them to groups of our partners. So Pod, there's a couple hundred of them, and they're there to work with the MSP, doing nothing but helping them with backup, both commercially and technically, right? So technically making sure they're selling the right things, commercially making sure they're pricing it right and that they have good profit margins. We're going to expand that program so that way every single partner at Kaseya has a backup concierge that will...
So a dedicated rep.
It'll be a dedicated rep, yeah. And so far the reception has been awesome. I've been reading and watching the comments. The account managers have been booking assessments with the backup concierge like crazy, and I just saw a video, they did a snippet, and it was somebody that said, oh, I have my old Datto back. Mm-hmm. So it's been very well received, and we think that it'll continue to have a positive impact on the industry in such an important area of technology like backup. Not necessarily the most sexy, but definitely like something that's endured. Yeah, it's table stakes. So.
Yeah. So, are they like auditing their customers, like to say, hey, you've got this many workstations, or this is not backed up properly? Is that what they're doing, or is it just to generally?
It's a little bit of both. So they're helping the MSP with their stack and helping them, set up, making sure they have the right solutions and price it. But they'll also ride along and help sell it to their downstream customer. So if there's a challenge with selling the value, they could ride along and help with that presentation.
Gotcha. Okay. So if somebody wanted to learn more about this, people watching this, where would they go, or what would they do?
Yeah, so the best bet, the fastest path is to talk to your Kaseya account manager and simply ask to be put in touch with your backup concierge, and they can set up a call immediately.
Okay. All right. Easy enough. All right, guys. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.